welcome back to another episode of the World of Wrestling podcast. I'm Slim, and I've already explained what the go is with Carl, so obviously he's not here, but we're going to start off with Raw. And this week's Raw starts with Orton coming out to reveal who his next victim is. And while he's coming out, we get a recap of what happened during the unsanctioned match last week. Orton says that he's been in the WWE for 20 years. He's the youngest World Heavyweight Champion, 13-time World Champion. He's been a part of some of the greatest factions. He says that he's greater than both The Rock and Stone Cold. Orton says that he has found what he wants, and that's the WWE Championship. Orton then talks shit about Drew for a little while, and then says that he respects him for what he did at Mania. Orton then says that Drew has a problem, and that problem is that he has what Orton wants, and he has a record of taking things that he wants. Orton then challenges Drew for the WWE title at SummerSlam. Nia Jax is out next and says that she wants the Raw Women's title. Baszler interrupts, and Jax says nobody cares, and then they start brawling. Back from break, and the Profits are in the ring, and they say that they're the ring announcers for the next match, which is a triple threat tag team match to determine who will challenge for the Raw tag titles at SummerSlam. It's Viking Raiders versus Cedric Alexander and Ricochet versus Andrade and Angel Garza with Zelina Vega. Profits are also on commentary. It was a pretty good match. Andrade and Garza won by pinfall after Ivar takes just about everyone out, and Garza wins by pinfall after hitting the wing clipper on Cedric for the 3. Post-match, Andrade and Garza attack the Profits, and they stand face to face. We then get Nia versus Baszler. Match ends in a double countout, pretty much straight away. So there was really no point in having that. They could have just been brawling backstage or something. Nia and Shayna then attack security. We then see what happened in the rivalry between Rollins and Ray, and we see that Rollins and Murphy are backstage, and Rollins asks if Murphy is with him. Murphy asks if Rollins thinks Dominic will show up tonight. Rollins says yes, but not to worry because there's a greater good, and it will move forward. Backstage, we see Mark Henry talking to Ruby Riott and Bianca Belair, and then Murphy and Rollins are out, and he says that every time the greater good takes 2 steps forward, they take 1 step back. And every time that happens, someone gets injured. Rollins then says tonight will be different, and he asks Dominic to come out to the ring. Dominic comes out, and Rollins asks him to come into the ring. He even asks for Murphy to hold the ropes open for him. Rollins says that he is here for Dominic, and if he needs any guidance or anything, he's here for him. Dominic attacks both Rollins and Murphy, but the numbers advantage winds up to be too much. Aleister Black comes out to help Dominic, but again the numbers game gets the best of him too. Rollins tells Murphy that he knows what to do, and after a little hesitance, puts Black's eye into the steps, like he did with Ray and all that shit. As they go to get Dominic, they find him with a kendo stick, and he manages to run them off by beating the shit out of them with the kendo stick. Backstage, Truth says he heard that Mustafa Ali is going on the MVP lounge and asks if he is going after the 24/7 title. Ali says no. Truth says he's going to get his baby back, and he has his eye on him and calls him Mufasa, which was pretty funny. VIP lounge next, and the Hurt Business's guest is Mustafa Ali, obviously. Ali says that he wants to become a real champion, and MVP says he is a real champion, the real US champion. MVP tries to recruit Ali, who declines. MVP says that Cruz did the same thing Ali is doing now, and he's injured. So it's Ali's call. Ali declines again, and Truth tries to get the 24/7 title, but fails. We then get Ali vs Bobby Lashley with MVP and Shelton Benjamin. During the match, Tozawa tries to win the 24/7 title, but he is unsuccessful. Then the Hurt Business takes Tozawa and his ninjas out. It was a good match. Lashley won by submission with the full Nelson, or Nelson from Simpsons if you're R-Truth. Backstage interview with Ziggler, and he says that Orton can wait because he's going to go to SummerSlam and will beat Drew for the belt there. We then see what happened in Extreme Rules and Raw last week between Asuka and Sasha. Bayley and Sasha come out next to say that Steph's a bully and nobody likes a bully. They then run down what happened at Extreme Rules and they say that they did everything they said they would do. Bayley finishes by saying that it's time that Sasha taps Asuka out. I was unsure on what I wrote there because I'd lost where I was reading. We then get Sasha with Bayley versus Asuka with Kairi. Before the bell, Kairi runs Bayley to the back, so it's just a straight singles match. During the match, Sasha tries to leave, but then she also tries to pull an Eddie and get Asuka DQ'd by chucking her the belt and laying on the ground going, oh, she hit me. But didn't work. Backstage, Bayley attacks Asuka and attacks Kairi, and Asuka leaves to help Kairi out. Turns out this attack is a career-ending injury for Kairi. It was a pretty good match. Sasha won by countout. It was a better ending than Extreme Rules, but it was still shit. Bayley comes out to celebrate with Sasha. We then get a recap of the end of the Sasha-Asuka match, which just happened, because apparently we're dumb. We then get told that Kairi's in the trainer's room getting evaluated, and Sasha and Bayley show up celebrating. Asuka shows up crying and yelling in Japanese. We then get a video package for Regis Philbin, who has died recently. I think that's how they said his name. Looks like it. Then we have Murphy versus Humberto Carrillo. During Murphy's entrance, we see what happened to Humberto Carrillo last month. Pretty good match. Murphy won by pinfall after hitting Murphy's Law. Then we see what happened in Extreme Rules between Ziggler and McIntyre. We then see McIntyre talking to Henry. Main event time, and it's McIntyre versus Ziggler. Before Dolph comes out, Drew says that it's official. Drew versus Orton at SummerSlam for the WWE title. He then continues to talk about Orton before moving on to Dolph, who comes out and says he gave him a week and asks what the stipulation is. Drew says the stipulation is Extreme Rules for the both of them. Good match. Drew won by pinfall after hitting Claymore that sent Ziggler through a table for the 3. Post-match, Orton hits an RKO on Drew from out of nowhere, then stands over Drew with the belt to close the show. Moving on to AEW Dark, and this week's Dark has 12 matches, and it's an hour 50 minutes. 10 minutes shorter than Dynamite. Their Dark matches go for 10 minutes. They could have just made 2 episodes of Dynamite. Oh no. We could have just had 2 episodes of Dynamite this week. I don't know. They need to not be making them so long, because it's meant to be 4 matches tops, and then doing like that's 3 episodes. 4 matches each episode goes for 20 minutes or so. But whatever. First match of the night is the Initiative, which is Cutler and Avalon with Leva Bates versus FTR. It was a good match. FTR won by pinfall with the Mindbreaker on Avalon for the 3. Then we get Michael Nakazawa and Pineapple Pete versus Sonny Kiss and Joey Janela. Good match, funny match. Janela and Kiss won by pinfall after Kiss hit the splitting leg drop on Pete for the 3. After that is Abaddon versus Skylar Moore. Good match. Abaddon is freaky and weird as shit. Abaddon won by pinfall after hitting a sit-out neckbreaker thing where she got more back-to-back with herself. Picked her up and grabbed her head and then sat down. I guess it'd be like a backpack neckbreaker thing. I don't know. Sean Spears has a promo next where he says that he's acting in self-defense when he uses the loaded glove. We then have the Dark Order, which is Evil Uno and Stu Grayson with 3, 4, and 5 and 10 versus Sean Dean and Will Hobbs. Good match, Dark Order win by pinfall with the fatality on Dean. Grayson got the 3. Next is Corey Hollis vs Scorpio Sky. Good match, Sky won by pinfall with the TKO. Then we have Kenzie Page vs Penelope Ford with Kip Sabian. Good match, Ford won by pinfall after hitting the Fisherman Suplex with a bridge. We then get Aaron Solo vs Wardlow. Good match, pretty much a squash, but it was still good. Wardlow won by knockout after hitting the knee after he dropped him from the top rope, which he's done in his last few matches. Post-match, Wardlow hit 3 F10s before leaving. Then it's Dark Order, which is 3 and 4, with Uno, Stu Grayson 5 and 10 versus Best Friends. Match starts with Dark Order dropping Best Friends before the bell. Really good match. Best Friends won by pinfall after Chuck hit the Awful Waffle on 3 for the 3. Post-match, the rest of the Dark Order ran down to the ring, but Best Friends got out of there. After that, we get Frankie Thomas vs Lance Archer with Jake Roberts. Lance comes out carrying someone by his belt and throws him on the stage. Match starts with Thomas attacks Archer during his entrance. During the match, Archer knocks somebody out in the crowd, because of course he did. Squash match, Archer wins by pinfall after hitting a choke slam followed by the EBD head slams for the 3. Next up is Orange Cassidy vs Serpentico. Pretty good match. Orange wins by pinfall with a crucifix of sorts. Post-match, Serpentico tries to attack Orange after... But he hits the Superman punch. Puts the ref's hands in his pockets before getting dressed and leaving. After that, we have Fuego del Sol with Lowrider vs Sammy Guevara. Pretty good match. Sammy wins after he hits the GTH, which is to go to hell, I think. Either that or it's to go to hospital. I'm not 100% sure now. It's either go to hell or go to hospital. I don't know, either one. It's also just the feature eyes. Post-match, Sammy attacks Lowrider and hits him with the GTH 2. So he hits him with a GTH. Private Party then have a promo package, and Quen asks where Matt is. Big Money Matt shows up and says that he wants them to get over, because then he'll stay over. He also says they need to win by any means necessary. Main event time, and it's Proud and Powerful versus Private Party with Matt Hardy versus SCU. Pretty good match. Proud and Powerful win by pinfall after Ortiz hits a low blow on Quen behind the ref's back. Then got Quen the small package for the 3 count. Moving on to AEW Dynamite, and Excalibur isn't on the show tonight, but Taz is replacing him. Dynamite this week starts with Inner Circle with Floyd vs Best Friends and Friends, which is the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy and Jurassic Express, which is Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy, accompanied by Marco Stunt. Pretty good match. Best Friends and Friends won by pinfall after Matt Hardy pushed Guevara off the top rope into Luchasaurus, who hit a chokeslam before a spinning roundhouse kick to pick up the 3 count. We then get a promo from Moxley, who says that he thought his shit with Cage was over, but then he attacked Moxley's friend and didn't even do it alone, so now he's going to end the fight. Next is Cody defending the TNT Championship against Warhorse. Good match. Cody won by submission with the figure 4 leg lock. Post-match, 3 and 4 of the Dark Order come out and attack Cody and Warhorse, who pushed Cody out of the way. They then turn their attention to Arn Anderson, but Matt Cardona, who is Zack Ryder, came out and took out both 3 and 4. And while we're on the subject of the TNT title, Eddie Kingston is signed to AEW now. But after that, Tony Schiavone is on the stage next and says that September 6th, or 5th if you're in America or whatever, is AEW's next pay-per-view. But Inner Circle interrupt him, and Jericho says that they're pissed. Before I go on, I should mention that their next pay-per-view is All Out. But yeah, Jericho says that they're pissed. Sammy calls Matt Hardy a son of a bitch because he cost him his first match back on Dynamite. Jericho says that next week he'll have a debate with Orange, and the week after that they'll have their rematch. Jericho then asks Santana if he still smells like orange juice, and Santana says no, it's more like cat piss. We then see FTR signing the AEW contracts. They bring in Arn Anderson to look over their contracts because he knows a thing or two about tag wrestling. As they sign, Hangman comes in and pours them a drink. We then look at what happened last week between Dark Order and Hangman. Then we get Hangman and Kenny Omega defending their tag team championships against the Dark Order, which is Uno and Grayson. Colt Cabana joins commentary, but beside him is Mr. Brody Lee and Anna Jay. Before Omega makes his entrance, Hangman starts brawling with Dark Order. Really good match. Hangman and Omega win by pinfall after they hit the last call on Uno for the 3. Post-match, Brody tells Anna Jay and Colt to go to the back, and then he tosses his papers at Uno and yelled at Grayson before saying that Hangman has pissed him off and a bunch of creepers show up to outnumber the Elite because the Bucks come into the ring at that point. But while they're outnumbered, FTR busts another esky over Brody Lee's head and they take out Uno and Grayson before getting in the ring to help get rid of the creepers. Shivani then gets a letter from Britt Baker and it says that she has something to say. Britt says that Swole is obsessed with her and she will let Swole verse her if she beats an opponent of her choice. Then we get Diamante vs Hikaru Shida for the AEW Women's Championship. Good match. Shida won by pinfall after hitting the running knee for the 3 count. We then get the rules for the Women's Tag Tournament, and we see that earlier today, Nyla Rose picked the colour purple, and it's revealed that Ariane, which was Cameron in WWE, has also picked purple, so they're partners. MJF is out next to address the state of the business. MJF says that he wants change. AEW is now a dictatorship. Moxley isn't his champion. MJF says that Moxley needs to lead by example and stop cosplaying as Stone Cold. Doesn't quite say Stone Cold, but heavily implies that it's Stone Cold. MJF says that he draws more ratings than anybody else. I'm sure Chris Jericho has a thing or two to say about that. He says that Moxley is a dictator. MJF finishes off by officially challenging Mox at All Out for the title. Main event time, and it's a tornado tag match between Moxley and Darby Allin versus Brian Cage and Ricky Starks with Taz. Darby doesn't come out when his music plays. Backstage, Taz asks where Darby is. He asks if Starks beat the shit out of him last week, so Darby couldn't show up. Taz then hypes up Cage and Starks before giving Starks the mic. Starks says that he and Cage are going to bury Darby and Mox as Cage and Starks make their entrance. Darby coffin drops onto them from the entrance way. Pretty good match. Moxley and Darby win by pinfall after Moxley locks in the armbar thing that he does on Cage, and Darby hits a double foot stomp onto his skateboard that the bottom of it had thumbtacks on it, no wheels, so it's just a flat board. Thumbtacks on the bottom. He hit that onto Ricky Starks' back and picked up the 3 count from it. Post-match, Darby says he wants the AEW Championship, and it's confirmed by commentary to be happening next week. We'll move on to NXT, and NXT this week begins with a video package showing the friendship between Keith Lee and Dominik Dijakovic, before showing what happened last week between Dijakovic and Karrion Kross. Then the show starts with Io Shirai and Tegan Nox versus Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae. During Io's entrance, Kai attacks her. Pretty good match. Io and Nox win by pinfall after Nox hit the Shiniest Wizard on LeRae, which allowed Io to hit the SIO moonsault on LeRae for the 3. Dakota Kai left the match too. We then look at what happened on the Pat McAfee show between Adam Cole and Pat McAfee. And we also see what happened on there between Triple H and Pat McAfee. Then we see what happened at the finish of Reed versus Gargano versus Strong. Then we get confirmation that we're getting Strong versus Gargano. And then next up is Gargano versus Strong. Really good match. Gargano won by pinfall after hitting the one final beat. Then a backstage interview with Dakota Kai, who says she's not a team player anymore and she's the number 1 contender. And as she's leaving, Rhea Ripley shows up and calls her back and says that they have a problem because Io is hers and she's going to take out anyone who says otherwise. Kai leaves to go talk to Regal. Rhea Ripley also has blonde hair now. Backstage interview with Timothy Thatcher, and he says that he will win the triple threat match to gain entry into the ladder match for the North American title between himself, Finn Balor, and Dexter Lumis. As he's talking, Lumis is standing way back, staring at him. Undisputed Era are walking backstage, and now they are back together because they're back to change the business. We then get Shotzi Blackheart versus Mercedes Martinez with Robert Stone and Aaliyah. It was a decent match. Martinez won by pinfall after hitting an air raid crash for the 3 count. And then we get a video package for Ridge Holland from NXT UK, and he says that he's coming for the North American title, and he's debuting next week. Keith Lee is out next, and he says Dijakovic's going to be fine, but Cross has made a point that he wants Keith's attention and has done a lot of extra bullshit to get it, and so Lee is now calling him out. Cameron Grimes comes out. Grimes says that he's disappointed that Lee gave up the North American title, but it's okay because he's going to take the NXT title. Grimes then antagonises Lee, who promptly destroys him before Scarlett comes out. Lee then hits the Spirit Bomb on Grimes while Scarlett's on the stage, and she shows Cross on the Tron cutting a promo where he says that Lee has 2 choices. The easy way, which is Keith Lee gives Cross a shot at him, or the hard way, and he doesn't know what the hell the hard way is. Lee says Cross can name the time and place, and Keith will whoop that ass. The NXT Tag Team Champions Imperium, which is Eichner and Bartel, are out next to face Everrise. Good match. Imperium won by pinfall after hitting the European Bomb on Chase Parker. Eichner got the 3. Post-match, Imperium start talking, and Undisputed come out and just beat the absolute shit out of them. We then get a video package detailing Bronson Reed's journey to TakeOver 30. Then backstage we see Finn Balor getting ready, and as he walks away we see Lumis behind where Balor was. Regal then says that championship matches will be earned, so he isn't making Lee vs. Cross official. We then get Isaiah Swerve Scott vs. Jake Atlas. Pretty good match. Swerve won by pinfall with the JML driver. Backstage interview with Damian Priest, who says he didn't know his opponents, but now he does. He believes that there's no way he can lose a triple threat match next week, and will also walk out of TakeOver as the new North American champion. Priest is facing Arnie Lorcan and Ridge Holland next week to see who goes into that ladder match. Main event time, and it's Finn Balor versus Timothy Thatcher versus Dexter Lumis to gain entry into the ladder match at TakeOver 30. Lumis is great. Just saying, Lumis is great. He has a great character. He's great in the ring, and he's just great. Lumis won by KO after Thatcher locked Balor in an ankle lock, and Lumis locked Thatcher in the silence. Thatcher won. Thatcher passed out, which gave Lumis the win by KO. And you could tell that he passed out because he let go of the ankle lock. So yeah. We'll move on to NXT UK, and this week's NXT UK features Mark Andrews vs Joseph Connors, Xia Brookside vs Isla Dawn, and Pete Dunne vs Noam Dar. Now we'll move on to SmackDown, and SmackDown starts with Bayley saying she'll beat Cross, and Cross saying she'll win the SmackDown Women's title. Big E saying that he's going to make Miz feel the power, Miz and Morrison laughing at the thought of Big E having a singles run, Lacey Evans saying that she'll give Naomi #what she deserves, Naomi saying that Lacey will feel the glow, Grand Metalik talking in Spanish, and Styles saying that he's going to retain the Intercontinental title. Then we get to Firefly Funhouse, and Bray says Braun must be still in the swamp, but a part of his soul will always be trapped there, so yeah. Bray then says that he only wanted to help Braun, but now he is awake, and until he gets what he wants, which is something Braun has... hang on. Until he gets what he wants, which is something that Braun has, then nobody is safe. I didn't put that in there properly. We then kick the show off properly with AJ Styles defending the Intercontinental title against Grand Metalik with Lince Dorado. Pretty good match. Styles won by submission with the calf crusher. Post-match, Styles attacks Lince and hits Styles Clash on him to send a message to the locker room. No, not us. Not us. The SmackDown locker room. Backstage, we see Shorty G watching what happened, and Corbin walks up and tries to be friends with him. Corbin says that they've always been friends, but he was just trying to motivate him instead. Corbin keeps calling him Chad instead of Shorty G, and also says that he deserves more opportunities, and also says that the King's Ransom is open for anyone. We then look at the bar fight from last week. Jeff Hardy's out next, and he says that staying sober will be a challenge, and he'll fight that every day. Well, he'll fight for that every day, and he'll succeed in staying sober. Corbin then interrupts and says that all Jeff is doing is whining and crying about his struggles. He then says that he has to deal with Riddle, who can't find his shoes. Tonight he has a match against Gulak, and he is disappointed in Jeff because he is now concerned with sitting in a circle and collecting coins before being attacked by Gulak. Then we get Corbin versus Gulak. Good match. Corbin won by pinfall after hitting the end of days. Toward the end of the match, Riddle came out to distract Corbin, but it didn't work. Post-match, Riddle attacked Corbin until Shorty G came down and took out Riddle with a rolling German suplex, and he and Corbin walked up the ramp together. So that was a surprise that Shorty G turned heel, but hopefully it's good for Shorty G and good for Corbin. After that, we get Big E versus The Miz with John Morrison. During Big E's entrance, we see what happened between Kofi and Big E last week. During the match, Morrison gets involved twice, and the second time allows Miz to hit the skull-crushing finale, but Big E kicks out, which was surprising. The third time Morrison tries to get involved, he gets caught and sent to the back. Pretty good match. Big E won by submission with the stretch muffler. We then see Cesaro and Nakamura having a party, and Cesaro says every year at Extreme Rules, Nakamura wins a title. Then Lucha House Party show up, and Cesaro and Nakamura say that it's a champions-only party, and although Metalik had his opportunity earlier tonight, he blew it. Metalik then holds Lince back before leaving. Backstage promo with Sheamus, who says that Jeff was fueled by alcohol last week, but now he's done with Jeff because he's an addict. No, he's now done with Jeff because an addict like him, well, Sheamus can just sit back and wait to see how he goes with that, because he'll just relapse. But now the rest of the locker room, SmackDown locker room, not us, has a problem. and that problem is Sheamus. We then get Lacey Evans versus Naomi. Before Naomi's entrance, Lacey cuts a promo saying she's beaten her before, and she'll do it again now. During the match, Lacey comes out targeting the hair, including putting it under the top step on the steel steps. Okay match. Naomi won by pinfall with a backslide. Mandy and Otis are then backstage, and Mandy says it's been a while since they've had a proper date, so she has booked a table at Otis's favourite barbecue restaurant. They then talk about what they will eat, then go get ready, and Sonya's walking behind them. We then see Mandy getting ready before Sonya shows up and attacks her and gives her a haircut. Kayla Braxton then provides an update to what just happened, even though it just happened. And as she's giving the update, Miz and Morrison show up and start making hair puns until Otis and Tucker walk up to them and they leave. Main event time, and it's Bayley with Sasha Banks defending the SmackDown Women's Championship against Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss. I almost said the Raw Women's title. Good match. Bayley won by pinfall with the headlock driver thing that she uses to finish matches. She's been doing it for ages. She gets the 3 count off of that. Post-match, Nikki Cross pushes Alexa Bliss before leaving. And then a very surprising moment happened. In that the Fiend showed up and locked in the mandible claw on Alexa. And that's how the show ended. And it was very surprising, very shocking. And I just sort of went, oh, this is awesome. Let's see where that goes. Probably nowhere, knowing WWE. That will go absolutely nowhere. I guess that they're going to use that to make Braun want to fight the Fiend at SummerSlam. But, I don't know. But we'll move on to 205 Live. And it starts with Ari Daivari talking from his boat about the Cruiserweight division. And then he says that he's coming back. Oh, shit. That came out of nowhere. The show then kicks off with the main event, which is Tony Nese and Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Legado del Fantasma. That being Raul Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde, with the Cruiserweight champion Santos Escobar. Pretty good match. Legado del Fantasma won by pinfall when they hit a Russian leg sweep flying kick combo on Nese. Wilde got the pin. So that has been this week in the wrestling. What are we? We're in August now, and as of right now, we've only got 2 predictions, as in 2 events, to predict this month. That being TakeOver 30 and SummerSlam. However, I'm pretty sure that New Japan's got one on the 29th or 30th or something like that. And I'm pretty sure that they're adding another, WWE adding Payback on the 31st, which, yes, is 7 days after SummerSlam, which is absolutely stupid. I might actually check to see that New Japan one, because last time I checked they hadn't updated their schedule, but they might have updated it now. No, they haven't. Okay. But I'll keep an eye out for all of that and see what happens. And obviously, if we have to do predictions, we'll do predictions. But, yeah, other than that, thanks for watching. Goodbye and good night.